It is 10 o'clock a.m. on Wednesday, March the 13th. I called to order the Fort Myers Beach Marine and Environmental Resource Task Force. Please all stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. All right, roll call. Shall we start on the right?
Dave Nussbaum here. Bill Altoff here.
Jennifer Rusk here.
Robert Howell here.
Steve Johnson here.
Rose Larkin here.
Mary Rose Spalletta, present.
Chad Schutz, environmental staff for the town.
John R. King, council liaison.
Okay, the new face of the group here. Welcome to the group, Councilman King.
Thank you.
So the agenda. Any questions on the agenda?
I was only hoping that the activity book could be moved up to C.
C, yeah, I would agree.
And kind of shift those other two down just because we absolutely have to get to that item.
Yes, we may not have time for the last two as well, so I would agree with that. Any other discussion? Any other input?
No, I move to approve it with that one switch from between swapping C and E. In the order.
Second.
All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. So let's jump in. Public comment.
Wait,
No, I'm sorry, approve previous meeting minutes. I
I-
have a motion to.
well, I had two questions.
Mm-hmm.
On page 3, it says Bill lives on the beach. I agree with the statement that he supports additional sand, no matter where it comes from, but then it says lives on the beach. I thought you lived in Charlotte County. Is that correct?
Excuse me?
You live in Charlotte County. It says that you live on the beach on page 3.
No.
No, you live on the beach. You live in Charlotte.
When
We're
my
discussing the minutes.
home,
Your residence, yeah. She's just looking at the minutes, I guess.
The residence now, home is in Sarasota.
Okay.
My place is on the beach down
Okay,
So what do you suggest? Property owner?
I guess. I don't know. Yes.
What does it say?
It says lived on the beach
Put down the beach.
and supported additional sand no matter where it came from. And I didn't.
Right. But technically that isn't correct. So what would you suggest? Member Altoff,
Just supported additional sand.
property
and
owner,
just
supported.
doesn't even have to have just supported. He just supported additional
So
sand.
just strike that.
Yeah.
Supported additional sand.
Yeah, just cut out the strike the lived on the beach part.
I think that's fine with me. Anybody have any issue with that?
I think it should be recorded that he owns property on the beach.
Okay.
That's fine too.
Bill, how would you phrase it so that it would be
Yeah,
accurate and
Can you please correct the statement?
I own property on the beach is fine.
Who owns property on the beach? That's what I suggest.
Okay.
Murph member, I'll read it. Murph member Altoff, who owns property on the beach, supported additional sand, no matter where it came from. Is that acceptable?
Perfect.
Okay. Another change?
It was kind of an addition. Mr. Perry at the very end in the public comment gave a really detailed background on the sand and how it shifted from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach and how that all occurred. And he only got like 1-2 little sentences, and it's not mentioned that history. And I meant to go back and re-listen to it again, but it was quite extensive. And this just says he was talking about the beach, raking the beach since Ian. But he gave that historical account.
So you'd like to add the historical
I would like to say
account?
that he gave a historical background to the natural movement of sand from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach. And then start with,
Well, do we know that's accurate?
I don't know. I was thinking it was based on what other people had said, showing pictures of the.
I don't know, maybe
beach.
Chad could, is that accurate? Is that meaningful?
Well, it's his public comments, so
Some
does
say, right,
it need to be accurate?
I
It's
mean,
accurate for him.
right,
I take minutes as a reflection of what was said,
right,
us correcting.
understood, yeah. So what would you suggest?
Just that
Rose?
Mr. Perry gave a historical background to the movement of sand from Lover's Key to Fort Myers Beach.
Okay,
And then
You,
just.
you pretty much wanted to say that it was a statement, not a factual,
Right.
like, okay.
any questions, any more discussion on that? I'll put it to a vote. We make a motion to approve I'll make a motion to approve the amended minutes.
My second.
Discussion?
Second,
Any opposition? Not hearing any. Motion is approved. Yeah, motion's approved unanimously. So good. Public comment. We have two members of the public here today.
Good morning, everyone. Cindy Johnson, resident Fort Myers Beach. I'm also a volunteer with Turtle Time. Today, since you're discussing sea turtle conservation, I thought it would be a good idea for me to give you an overview of a light pollution seminar that went on sponsored by the FWC, and it happened in November. So this was the 6th annual light pollution seminar. The attendees for this year were FDOT, FDEP, FWC, U.S. Fish and Wildlife representatives, people from security, safety inspectors, lighting representatives, and the window manufacturers and window tint representatives. And every year this happens because light pollution is a major concern for human safety, outdoor light pollution, and indoor light pollution for human safety, and outdoor light pollution for wildlife safety. So let me give you a little background because it's important that we understand what's going on outside our little bubble here in Fort Myers Beach. And Chair, give me the hook when it's 3 minutes.
Yeah, I just realized.
Okay, so,
Who'd like to be the official?
so in
timer?
2020,
We'll give you two more.
as Chad had mentioned in his great presentation, that FDOT and FWC had worked together to create a wildlife area of concern map and recommendations and requirements for lighting in a wildlife area of concern. And the council recently voted to abide by that. And their other recommendation is after a certain, it's usually about 1,000 feet from the beach is the requirement. It will be dark skies lighting. Well, we happen to have a dark skies lighting ordinance that everyone was supposed to be was supposed to adhere to by 2010. So none of that is anything new for anyone that lives here. The problem is that people don't understand it nor abide by it. So education is needed because it will actually make humans safer too. So some of the other things that are happening, FDOT, besides that, in their 2024 Green Book, they have now reduced light temperature colors for lower speed limit roadways, because we're using too much light, we're overlighting. The lighting industry has understood this. In 2020, they worked with the Dark Skies organization, and they had come up with 5 principles for responsible lighting. Instead, now they are calling it value-based lighting. So it's really important to these industries that we get this right and we are not overlighting, and they are really focusing like this focusing like a light on reducing light pollution. So there was another, okay, I'll finish at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comment? No? Public comment is closed. Let's move on. Current items, let's jump in. Sea turtle conservation. Staff liaison Schutz had brought to our attention the sea turtle conservation lighting standards as it applies to sea turtle conservation at our last meeting. To begin to review. He also, I believe, went to the town council already, and there was a vote or a consensus to pursue a course of action. Is that something you can share with us exactly, Chad? What the marching orders were from the town council?
Good morning, everyone. My take on it was with regards to the gray area, which was the recommended dark skies area. I took it as giving me discretion in reviewing lighting plans to allow for non-long wavelength lights, as long as they could show that they are not producing light that is cumulatively visible from the beach, and thus complying with the lighting standards code.
So the wording you'd use was to review plans, did you say? Is that just for land development orders or?
Development orders and building permits, yes, sir.
And building permits, but residential, what about residential structures that don't have land development orders, or typically you don't review?
I review them, but a lighting plan is not required. Therefore, there's not a lighting plan to review. But there is a condition on all permits that I review that they shall comply with the Sea Turtle Conservation Code and the Lighting Standards Code.
Okay, so if there's let's say an offending property that doesn't have dark skies lighting, is it your position then to approach them to say you need to come into compliance? If you feel if it's producing cumulative lighting?
Yep, that'd be part of the education process. Yes, sir.
All right. Did the council discuss at all the municipal lighting ordinance, the dark skies? Because it's clearly not being enforced. So how do we approach, how do we approach that? Education?
Sorry, I'm not following your question.
So the question is right now we have a municipal lighting ordinance. You shared it with everybody, and right now I would say there's almost every property is out of compliance in one way or another.
I disagree with that, but okay. Is there a question?
That was a statement. The question is there something? How do we? That's all producing cumulative lighting, correct? So my question is how do we change that? You're, I guess, saying that you don't agree with the fact that the municipal lighting ordinance is being followed.
No, I disagree with the statement that almost every property is not in compliance. We are, it's triage. We're going to look at the properties that are most egregious and work with the property owners. We're under emergency orders still, is my understanding, and there are a lot of concerns for safety, but we are working with property owners to get into compliance with the ordinances.
Okay. Excellent. Any other input?
Well, I guess my question would be, how are you working with the property owners?
Contacting them and educating them on the requirements of the code.
But in my perspective, it would seem that there needs to be some kind of education. For you to say that most properties are not out of compliance for the municipal lighting ordinance, I don't think is accurate. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on that. And when I say that, is that means that if they have any kind of floodlights that come out, that's out of compliance. You can see the bulb of their source of the bulb, it's out of compliance. It's got clear glass and you can see the bulb. I mean, if I just this morning walking down Avenida Pescadora, I'd say at least 90% of the structures there had some kind of non-compliance. And it's not to their own fault. They don't know that. They just go to run to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever they get their lighting fixture and put it on there. So how can we, as a town, if in fact we still want to continue with that municipal dark skies municipal lighting ordinance, is there a way we can educate the community? Because if we say that we're going to follow our dark skies ordinance, when in fact, in my opinion, it doesn't really, it's not in effect, then the conclusion is going to be very difficult to manage for you. So I don't know. This is to help, I suppose, in your efforts to comply with all the ordinances.
Well, we have a lot of these beach patrol out there already, and they seem ill-equipped and ill-prepared to deal with not only animal strandings, but animal rescues. I think a whole education program for beach patrol and that team is not a bad step to look forward to. And it's something I've been working with FWC and talking with them about. They already do something like this and they offer, I'm wondering if you can reach out to them to maybe expand on the training of beach patrol.
I think that's off topic, but I think what we're talking.
Well, no, but I think it goes in hand with not only responding to animals, but also responding to when there are properties that aren't.
We're talking about the homeowners.
That's what I
The
mean.
property owners. We're
That's
attempting
what I mean.
to educate the entire island on the municipal lighting.
Right, but if we can get beach patrol to understand the ordinances and the rules, then they can educate these people when they see those ordinances being broken or those laws being broken.
Well, I mean, I don't.
Counselor
I
King,
think beach patrol is busy.
is it my understanding that code enforcement is here to enforce the code, and we just hired 2 additional code enforcement people?
Correct.
Okay, so I think it's fairly clear that if education with the homeowner doesn't solve the issue of being in compliance with the ordinance, then it should be turned over to code compliance and have them come and visit them and say, look, you're out of compliance. It's a very simple issue. They're either in code or they're out of code. If they're out of code, you can't, you visit them. Chad says, look, here's the code, here's what the ordinance says, here's what we can see. And if they fail to adjust, then you have a compliance officer stop by and say, look, this is your first, last, and best warning.
Agreed, Mr.
I think
Nussbaum.
that'd be.
If I may
manageable,
speak,
because I think actually it's just so widespread that you're going to have an uproar because everybody's going to be, I mean, getting a ticket. And I'm not sure you have resources. I suppose you do to go up and down every street, but
It's like eating an elephant, you take one bite at a time.
so do you have a recommendation, a motion?
No,
recommendation
I
to town
think
council to start
I think
giving
it's
tickets?
already on the books. I think all we have to do is turn around, have Chad continue to educate the homeowners. If they fail to comply, then you turn it over to the code officers and you have them stop by and say, look, here's the issue.
Okay, so where's the
we
question?
need
Where's
to-
the line between education and actually taking action?
I think that's the latitude that the council gave Chad.
But that's what my idea
what
was, some kind of
if I may
education
speak,
more.
I think
Yeah.
what we need to address here is the time sensitivity of this issue. We can't wait until a disorientation has occurred before we respond to somebody's noncompliance. What we need to do is to get on top of the situation by addressing noncompliant lighting now, not in 2 months when we have
That's too
a
late.
turtle that comes up to nest and is turned around because of a bright light, or heaven forbid, wait until a nest hatches and the hatchlings are disoriented and end up squished on our boulevard. We need compliance, maybe not 100%, but that should be what we attempt to achieve in before the season arrives.
Agreed. I mean, education is going to be an ongoing thing for years. It has been for years, and it will be for years as long as we have new people coming onto the island and buying property that may not have ever owned in Florida. I believe that education is a consistency, something that we have to do. But we have to take action before sea turtle season, and now is the time. And so we are having to look at the town to do that.
And actually before bird nesting season, which I believe has begun, or it will be beginning within a week or two. We have a serious responsibility, and I think we need to be proactive.
Well,
I'm open to suggestions as to how people feel we can address the public. Because I don't want to be punitive. I much prefer to have people understand and comply willingly than to shake a finger at them and tell them they are subject to a fine. No one wants to hear that. People don't understand, I think, and they do the easiest thing. They buy that white bulb and stick it in there and think it's fine.
I think we have a new public relations officer for the town. I think we can make a motion to have that individual post repeatedly on the town website to explain and enhance the explanation of the ordinance to the people. I don't believe the new people coming in are the issue as much as the people that have remaining buildings that are trying literally to light their building. And I think it's very easy for the communication officer to say, here's the type of lights that you need to put in starting turtle nesting season, put them outside. It's simple to change a bulb. It's simple to shield a bulb going down. And I think we've got the facilities at the town with a new public relations individual to get the message out to the people. I think most of the people are well-meaning, and it's not a big deal to go down and buy the correct bulb at a correct facility and install it. In many cases, it's changing a bulb. So I think we have the means to get the information out. I agree with you that we don't want to be punitive. We don't want to slap people. We want to get the information out. And if there's any recommendation or motion I would make is that we ask the town to repeatedly put the information forth to the owners of the island and people renting to ensure that they conform with the town ordinance. That's, to me, a very simple way of getting the attention and getting everybody aware of what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's incumbent on us to do that. And we're stressing that we don't want to be punitive. We want compliance.
But I would have to say that a couple years ago, I went to Sanibel and went to their hardware store, and they had probably maybe 5 or 6 brands of red lighting, and only one they actually had to write a sign on the front of it that said this is, the FWC approved lighting. So, you just can't go to any hardware store and buy a red light. You have to find the proper lighting.
Right. It's not the color, it's the wavelength.
Correct.
That's
Exactly.
correct. And
It's not the color,
just
it's the
wanted to put
wavelength.
that out
can be
there
part of
for
the
the public.
information
It needs to be. right.
provided by the town.
Chad, I believe a few years ago, didn't the town provide lighting not for free, but that we offered lighting for a fee?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Could we do that again this year?
It's your purview to advise council.
I would advise council that along with what Mr. Nussbaum said, and Ms. Spalletta, that we also provide for a fee the correct FWC wildlife lighting.
How did that go, Chad?
Was that a motion?
It
I,
was an advisor.
no, I mean, I just want to, when we sold those bulbs, did we sell out? Was it a
We
major
did.
chore for the, I know that the town hall has a lot to do these days.
Yes and yes. Last year or following Hurricane Ian was one of the first years where we didn't do it. And given everything that was going on, it was with resources, staff resources, challenged. We did not offer bulbs that year. So, and also just speaking to some of the other comments, again, we are being proactive. I absolutely agree with being proactive and not waiting towards disorientations, and have been getting in touch with problematic properties with regards to lighting. And we will be sending out our annual notice and updating our website information to get out the word with regards to what the code requires and how to come into compliance.
I don't want to take over anyone's job, but if the town needs someone to help distributing these lights, I would certainly volunteer sometime during the week when I could be available to open up the little shop where the bulbs are for sale. And I'm sure other people would too.
Sounds like a great idea for a 501c3 or an NGO type organization to an endeavor for them to undertake.
Well, maybe the beach hardware store could just start promoting them.
That's
That would be.
let's pursue all, I think, pursue
That
all
would
of
be a
those
great
angles.
idea, is just have them carry it on there and say, here's one of the beach hardware stores. Here's one of the areas where you can buy
Right.
the correct bulb. I don't, and I understand there's a lot of outlets, and I'm not promoting Amazon, I'm not promoting any of the mail order places, but you can get turtle light bulbs as easily as going online, clicking twice, and it shows up in 2 days.
I've
it's-
ordered
it's-
probably 3 different ones on Amazon that said they were turtle friendly, and they are not.
Well,
Just
it's.
do your research.
Yeah, you have to do your
research.
research.
That's what I'm saying. The town can say, here's the correct bulbs, here's who manufactures them, put it on the website, and then the individuals can find the bulbs. It's not that hard to do. We do it as a condominium all the time. And we're 100% in compliance with the lighting ordinance. Amber lights throughout the property,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all turtle compliant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that hard to do. You just have to do your homework and order the correct bulb.
Right. Right.
And I think the information should go out on Beach Talk Radio because they have a tremendous following and they could list the types of bulbs and the companies that produce them, and you would go out to,
There's a lot of
Well, why would we
venues to
do
get
that?
the information out, and I think that would be something that we could get the
public relations.
public
person.
information officer to get it out and collect we could send in our experiences with the bulb, and the other Turtle Time and the other people can say, here's all the bulbs that we have found that work, and send it in, and the
Great
public
idea.
information officer can say, okay, here are the bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
So this kind of took a turn. I mean, that's maybe I can re-articulate this a little bit better, but that was, I feel like the sea turtle compliance is in focus. So my concern was this sky glow. So the cumulative light, which has become a real problem. And the point is it's not the beachfront owners that I think that we have a handle on that. I think there's been a lot of things done. Sea Turtle Conservancy has contributed a lot of time and effort on this island to help properties. Condos have helped themselves, like Island Winds. it's this cumulative light that requires, no matter where you're at on the island, that you have full cutoff and shielded fixtures. So you discuss it as part of the sea turtle ordinance, but it's actually our municipal lighting ordinance, that you have to have a shielded light. All the lights on your property need to be shielded.
Can
You
I
can't
ask you a question? Can I ask?
I'll allow you to interrupt. Did you have a
May
question?
I? Sorry, I apologize. Shielded, does that mean if there's an awning over the light, is that considered shielding?
Shielding means you cannot see the source of the light.
Okay.
Only the light, not the source, but only the light it's producing. So a can light. So if you got a can light, it looks like a coffee can, the bulb is up inside, and the light comes out.
Mhm.
So again, garage lights that have motion sensors that you see, the PAR 30 bulbs or whatever the number is on them, that shine out on your driveway. I mean, those are not compliant. If
So
you have-
just to read the definition, sorry to interrupt you. Fully shielded means a lighting fixture constructed in such a manner that the glowing elements, lamps, globes, or reflectors of the fixture are completely covered by an opaque material to prevent them from being directly visible from the beach. Any structural part of the light fixture providing the shielding must be permanently affixed.
Is that the
from-
municipal lighting ordinance
That's
definition?
from our Sea Turtle Conservation Ordinance.
Okay, so I was just discussing I'm sure there's a definition there as well for, here's, I guess this is the municipal lighting ordinance, says fully shielded, full cutoff recessed bulbs and flat lenses are the only permitted fixtures for outdoor lighting. Fully shielded, as he just said, fully cut off, recessed bulbs and flat lenses are the only permitted fixtures for outdoor lighting. So that's more or less reinforcing what you just said. So that's my point, that is, that's certainly not being followed anywhere on the island. So that was my concern. Is that something that we need to do island wide? Like I said, because it's just really a matter of ignorance. They've never looked into it. There's never been who looks up at the ordinance to see what kind of lighting you're gonna get when you're replacing your garage lighting or your corner, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
Well, in shopping centers, there's, I live near two very large businesses and they have all their lights are extremely bright. In fact, I mean, so much so that it's intruding on my property.
I mean, also, for instance, all externally illuminated signs, any sign on the island can only be lit using shielded fixtures mounted at the top of the sign, illuminating the sign that way. You can't have actually an illuminated sign. So a fluorescent light inside with the glass kind of sign on it. You can't have uplights going up to the sign. I mean, these are all in the municipal lighting ordinance. So that's what I was saying is it's, the town is rife with non-compliance. And my question is this how do we approach that? Is that, because again, this is in fact producing cumulative light. And so it's under this topic that we dig into the municipal lighting ordinance a little bit, which we've done before because this advisory board has looked at potentially attempting to get, let's say, dark skies certified, which our municipal lighting policy or ordinance supports, but is not, we have never followed it here in the town, and without cooperation with everybody, there's no way we would ever get that certification if that's important to anybody. But
So should we work on a motion to take to town council?
that or we work with the PIO potentially. Nicole, the new was Berzin, is that her name? Berzin? Berzin.
Okay.
To just potentially put education
Mhm.
out in advisories to say, if you're replacing your lights, here's sort of and there's great photos available that just show what these sort of
Mhm.
concept is.
I think we have three things we need to address here. The importance of compliance with the town lighting regulations, including all signage. We need to inform people about which bulbs will be in compliance, and we need to let people know where they will become available. In addition to online, we would hope that our hardware store would help us along, and if town hall has the ability to order some bulbs and have them available for purchase also. Those are the three things I think we need to address. how to go about that, Chair? Do we want a motion? Do we,
Sure. I mean, you can-
I don't have a motion yet, but I can, if we agree that those are the three.
I don't
mean,
think
does
the
that work
town
well?
should be put on the spot to get the bulbs right now. I think it should be the
They have enough
No,
hardware
to
the
do.
goods is-
store.
That's a independent, I mean, that's a
Right,
private
it would just be
business, yeah.
asking
I mean,
them.
you'd go to Graham and
um,
just ask them, hey, here's maybe a business opportunity here.
Okay,
you know,
perhaps he'll do
buy
that
a
once
couple
he,
dozen, see if they sell, and
But giving a list of exactly what bulbs and what companies produce
and
them.
well,
Right.
I think Dave said he's already done that homework, right? You already know.
Well, we did it for the applications on our particular property. We didn't, but that's just for us. We put all turtle compliant lighting in our carports. That's a different bulb than what somebody else may need for something else. So we've got turtle compliant lighting on the pathways, which are separate lighting that we've gone through. So every property is unique and different, has their own type of illumination challenges. And, to say this is one size fits all, but for just a standard screw-in flood lamp type bulb, I think there's 3 or 4 viable options and I think that's the big issue that we're discussing from Chairman Johnson, saying people buy a floodlight, put it on the side of their house and light their driveway. There's numerous turtle compliant flood lamps that are available without going into a lot of,
I think you missed the point. It's not, it's the fixture. It's not the actual bulb. I mean, the people that I'm actually sort of considering are the property owners, I should say, that are also need to be compliant are Back Bay. And it doesn't have to be amber lighting. It can be white lighting. It's just, it can't go up. It can't go out or up. It has to go down. So it's really the fixture itself is what's non-compliant, not necessarily the light itself.
well, that's a different issue.
Right.
That's a completely different issue than buying turtle compliant bulbs
Exactly.
and putting them in where you need to have turtle compliant bulbs.
Right.
So if you're talking fixtures on the Back Bay
Or any street. I mean,
or any street that can put in non-visible but non-turtle compliant bulbs,
mhm.
that's just a fixture that is in the ordinance and people have to read it, and that can be put on there by the PIO and said, here's what you have to buy and here's what you have to put in. If you don't have it in there, you're probably going to get a visit from somebody during turtle season.
Do you think it would be worth the town's time and effort into making like going back to what I was saying about some type of educational class or video where we could have it on the website, like specifically showing what lights, not the turtle specific bulbs, but what lighting we're looking for, and because it seems like there's a lot of questions, a lot of communication, a lot of miscommunication. And a lot of times when you get into the legality and legal wording of it, it gets confusing to a lot of people. So like a short video to have on that says this is appropriate lighting, this is inappropriate, these are versions of one, these are versions of the other. Because like I feel like having or offering something for not just Beach Patrol and the code enforcers, but also just the residents to come, and if it's not a video, but some type of class that they can come in and just a short educational program that and is open to everyone and all. That's kind of the point I was trying to make before.
Well, then also, the town can also put out, maybe FWC's got a website. If you go and Google FWC Sea Turtle Lighting, it has a list. So the town could give that information out.
But I just
perhaps.
feel we,
So I think I have a motion that I think that I've boiled down to just the bare necessities here. I think all we need to do is ask the town council to advise the town information officer, because of the importance of the timely compliance with our existing lighting rules, that all of the lighting, including the signage as well as individual homes and commercial properties comply with the existing turtle safety rules. I mean, turtle safe lighting. And that she include in her advisory the exact specifics on what is turtle safe lighting, or wildlife safe lighting, I should say. Is that all we want?
Could we be a little bit more specific with the lighting and specifically say, to shop for 590 nanometers?
Yeah, I think she
LED
should put that in there,
shielding?
but we don't have to,
Okay.
it's already there.
Okay.
All she has to
Just
do is
think
look it
it's-
up.
yeah.
All we want to do at this point is advise people that it's a timely thing and we need them to do that now. And that we are on top of this, this necessity for compliance. And it is their responsibility to find this information and take advantage of it.
I concur.
Now, I know that's too verbose. I'll try and get it a little bit shorter, but I think we agree on the idea.
Okay, so I'll second that. Are you putting a motion?
That's my motion, but it's not the final verbiage. I need to have quiet to think about the short verbiage for it.
Well, and you may not want to focus on the sea turtle. You may just
Right,
want
I'm
to
gonna
do
say
that
wildlife.
wildlife or the whole town's compliant.
Exactly, yeah. If you want to help me write it, go right ahead.
You can make it very succinct. And of
That's the
course, there's
idea.
always the color commentary that surrounds it too, or the comments after the follow the actual motion. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I should say the
But
recommendation.
that's what we need to do. And then all the ways we go about it will evolve.
Could we say something like a motion to ask the town to instruct the public information officer to identify the ordinances that are on the books and request, identify, illustrate, and request that the residents comply with the ordinances during turtle season, outlining what's available to date.
Sounds good, Dave, but I would like to put in there the importance of timely compliance.
You can add that too.
But otherwise I like that idea.
Okay.
Okay, sounds like we have a making of a motion.
Yeah, sounds like it. Go ahead, Dave. You had the beginning verbiage.
We heard it, right? We
Okay,
can always go
I
back
think
and,
we can heard it, basically, we're instructing the public information officer to identify and illustrate the ordinances, the lighting ordinances for sea turtle nesting, and ask that it be
That the importance of its timely
the
compliance be
timeliness
stressed.
is critical to getting that information to the citizenry.
Again,
I'll second that, Dave.
just for discussion's purposes, sorry to interrupt. So we do have a annual notice requirement in our sea turtle conservation ordinance that will do that.
Okay,
Great.
super. We can still
Absolutely.
Right, let's reinforce it.
Yeah,
All we're
social
doing is
and
telling the
website.
council this is important.
Gotta go out.
It typically would go out in the April water bill.
Okay,
Is
but
that
that's,
timely?
again, that's
That's
just a
timely.
fraction. Yeah, but it's only
Yeah.
reaches a
That's-
fraction of our community because most people, I
Oh,
mean,
right, water bills. They don't all, everybody doesn't get a
they're
water bill.
digital, right?
well,
So,
but
We have the
That's
alert
included.
system.
that's included in the motion. That's part of the
Right,
public information
right.
officer.
let it
Right,
happen both
right,
ways, exactly.
I mean, there's no restriction. They can go out, she can send it to Beach Talk Radio, the Beach Observer, any place else that she needs to get the information out. All we're doing is instructing the town,
To
look,
do
this
this.
is important, and we think the public information officer should spend some time on it. We're
Right.
asking for we're asking for time of a resource of the town because we feel it's important.
I would also say that we do it throughout sea turtle season, not just right before, but just throughout the whole season.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
can be readdressed.
okay, so we have a motion.
Yeah, I think Dave moved and I seconded.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll work with the PIO. Any other, I mean, shall we, anything else to discuss on sea turtle conservation, lighting standards? And sea turtle conservation. Hearing none, let's go to the next agenda item. Next agenda item today is,
The panel.
somebody help me here. Oh, the
Resiliency.
resilience forum panel, right. So you received so it's in place. This is really more of communication, I guess, than it is discussion to some degree. The flyer, I've been in contact with Nicole. I'll meet after the meeting here today just about getting the promotion of the event. So the event is taking place on Thursday, March 21st in these quarters from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. We will be hosting four local experts on coastal resilience and I like to call damage control. Dr. Michael Savarese, Dr. Janine Richards, both from the FGCU Water School. One is a coastal geology person, and Janine Richards is ecology, so it's really more the plants, dune vegetation, that type of thing. Dr. Michael Savarese is on the actual geology. Also included is Chad Washburn, who is the VP at the Naples Botanic Garden, and he's done research down in, I think it's Delnor Wiggins Pass Park, maybe down there. There's a park, it's a public state property or municipal property of some kind. And following the hurricane, they've been using that as a classroom to see what plants revegetate quickest in most numbers, that type of stuff. So they've got what I would say is a new look at the standard dune vegetation planting guidelines. And then also a gentleman called Dr. Christopher Daly will be there as well on the panel. And he is coastal geomorphology and marine and earth science. So those four will be making up a panel sitting right here, I suppose, and the audience will be sitting out there. And it's really a question answer. So they are the experts on resilience, storm resilience, and what really this town needs to, and property owners should, some things they can do to harden their properties to prevent more financial pain in repair. And what else can I say about it? Yeah, it's just really a panel forum with a question and answer. So it's not going to be lecture style. And I did distribute last night. I sent out the flyer that will be used, I suppose, if Nicole likes it. But that's where things are at. Any questions on our panel forum?
So this is not a MERTF meeting per se. This is a public forum meeting.
It's a MERTF sponsored meeting. It's not, I would say, and it needs to be noticed as a MERTF meeting, but it's not your typical meeting. There won't be a normal.
So it's
convening.
basically a workshop.
It would be considered a workshop. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And maybe that's the way they'll actually be presented as a workshop.
And I'd like to add that this Dr. Savarese is the gentleman who has its information that is specific to Fort Myers Beach. So anyone who has any interest in the damage that was caused and why it hit specific areas harder than others, they should be there because they'll find it very, very interesting.
Yeah, to Mary Rose's point, one of the hottest points on the island is Newton Park. That is the epicenter of the storm. Receives the worst impacts.
His
from
data
storms.
is just absolutely astonishing.
They've got LiDAR data for the entire island and can be very, very specific, even your own property. I mean, if you have questions about your property, they can answer them.
Yeah, I don't want to steal his
So-
thunder, but
Anyway, we
Will
thought
the
it'd be
town
useful.
send alerts to people? text
Well, I'm gonna
message
work with
alerts?
Nicole, and I'm
Between
gonna
now and then, yeah.
see if we can do advisories. She's in, we'll be in charge
Right.
she's agreed to be responsible for that, the promotion of the event. So So that's really the update on,
Right.
on the
And
panel
I've
forum.
spoken with Mr. Washburn about plantings. Once again, he has very specific recommendations for plantings and how to go about them and what not to do. So it behooves us all to be there.
So tell everybody you know to come on down,
What's the time?
9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. Here, Thursday, March 21st, which is coming up quickly. So
Next Thursday.
another week, I suppose, huh? Roughly 8 days. Okay, any other questions on the resiliency panel event?
Are you going to reserve our seats?
I'm not, no, I'm not in charge of any kind of anything outside of the event. So you'll have to come and make signs
Oh,
maybe.
gosh.
And come.
Okay.
Okay, having any other questions? Shall we move on? All right, next up is the activity book. That would be your,
Yes, Chair. So I had handed out the first 5 pages at the last meeting. We've received from Ms. Macy Knoll additional 5 pages. Mr. King, I know that you weren't here last meeting, so I included the first 5 in your handout. Please look over. We need to make notes, make corrections. The first 5 pages that you have, we did make corrections, but those corrections are not going to be made until at the end, just so she can devote her time to getting out the rest of the pages.
so the first 5, we don't need to review. Those have been
We've already
reviewed.
done that, and those corrections are going to be made by Ms. Knoll.
Okay, and these are the next 5 here.
These are the
We-
next 5, and then we have an additional 6 left that will be at next.
Numbering issue.
As,
Yeah, I saw that. So numbering issue.
I have some notes when you're ready.
Can you, yeah, how would you like to do this? Is it 6?
I would say-
Is
It's page
6?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Maybe can we take at
So-
least a minute to just review and read together?
We just, I guess maybe as a point of time improvement, there needs to be a better way to have these sent ahead of time, I think, so that we can.
So
try to
if
do
you
this
in the
before we
beginning,
come.
we got it. You were accepting the Google Docs. Once you accept from Miss Macy Knoll the docs, then you should be able to just go right
Those-
back into those docs and they'll be added
They
to
don't,
it.
they don't work. The link brings you to Google. Google says you have to request access.
Correct. And that would be Miss Macy
And
Knoll.
we've done that. And is she, since she's the one that's in charge of it, and if you have these in advance, then let's just send these, because it doesn't, I mean, from my perspective, the shared drive, the cloud drive is not working at all.
Yeah, I had the
Did
same
anybody else have
experience.
issues with that?
So I did too.
No.
I
You didn't, so
requested
You
it.
must have
Yeah,
gotten
you
and I
approval.
never heard
have
anything.
the app. You have to have the app. The
We
Google-
have the app.
Okay.
I have the app. It's
I-
just,
I got all of mine, so
You
I'm
did get all
sorry.
of yours. Okay.
okay, but again, I think, well, then, if you receive them, maybe you can forward them to everybody. I mean, it's just a
No, I can't forward them. I
easy way to
can
do
read
it. You
them.
can do it. I mean, as long as you copy Amy
Well, the
and,
town has them too.
Well,
well, why didn't they send them instead of the link?
I can go through my comments while you're reading real quick because
Okay.
mine are
Okay.
short.
Okay,
Okay, the only comment I had, Jennifer, again, given the age of the people that are working on this book, I am concerned that you're directing them to call Crow. And on this page, where it says, if you find an animal affected by these hazards, don't try to help it yourself. Instead, call Crow. And you've given a number for Crow. I'm not sure you want a child of the age that this book is doing calling Crow. I think they should find an adult or contact a police officer to call Crow. Otherwise, you're going to get 7-year-old kids. Mom, can I have your phone? I need to call Crow because I think this animal is in trouble. And it could be a tern standing on one leg, which a lot of them do because he's only got one leg.
I believe we did that too on one of the pages
Yes,
in the
that's
first.
correct.
So I have that noted.
That is the only thing I have. Otherwise, it's fine.
Got it. Thank you.
Next person.
I have a few, Jen.
All right, oh, go ahead.
I have a few. The word search page looks fine to me, but if you go to the Our Shorebirds page,
Which
that
page
is,
7.
I think it should technically not be an Eastern oyster catcher. It should be an American oyster catcher.
That's correct.
And I think that the label may be incorrect. I think that all of these four birds, the American oyster catcher, the least tern, the snowy plover, are state designated threatened. I don't think they're endangered. I think they're state designated threatened.
That's correct.
Well, I suppose depending on what the definition of endangered is here.
There's two different,
Endangered. it's
I
not
think
being
we're more
technical.
accurate if we say state
wanna be
endangered threatened,
technical,
don't you,
right.
Chad?
it's threatened, it's not endangered.
Couple typos there too. Least tern is misspelled. Should be TERN. And the other one, it should be a black skimmer, correct?
Yes, sir.
So those are a couple there.
And then in item number 3, do we want to include the eggs in there? It says draw a circle around birds, baby chicks. And should we put and eggs? Because I see some eggs in there too.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Sure.
Yeah, we're on, it's
Page
on this,
7?
on that Our Shorebirds page.
Okay.
Which has a big number 6 on it. In item number 3, where they're drawing a circle around the birds and the baby chicks, I think we should include the eggs that are there too. And when we get to the manatee page, once again, I think in Florida, they are not endangered. I think they are threatened. And we don't have an activity on this page, the manatee page. It's informative, but we need to give these kids something to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any suggestions?
Color the algae green.
Really? Are you being serious?
On their back, maybe. Props, they're prop stars, yeah.
Maybe draw seagrass in or draw their food or something like that.
Drawing seagrass, that would be good.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Drawing the
Yeah,
seagrass they
yeah.
need to eat.
Feed them.
Have a
Drawing
little
some
Yeah.
seagrass to eat.
How much do they eat?
About 10% of their body weight a
100
day,
100
about
pounds.
100 pounds.
Today. Yeah,
Good.
100 pounds of seagrass.
I wanted to point out on the crow page, I was wondering, instead of that bottle by the jellyfish or by the sea turtle, we have him eating the plastic bag. Could we make that bottle a jellyfish to kind of show that they look very similar?
Where are you, Rob?
Bottom left of the crow page,
Oh,
where the
crow
sea
page.
turtle is eating the plastic bag.
I think this page is very, very busy.
That's that's the next point I was going to say. Is this
Could
a
we make
very
it two-
overwhelming
Yeah.
page? Especially the part here with like the pollution, artificial light, roads, and unsupervised pets. That's a lot of like lumped together. And the pollution almost looks like little amoeba and stuff. I wonder if we could just maybe,
One thing at a time.
Yeah.
Where are we?
so you got
Okay,
the,
so
you got the-
jellyfish, draw a jellyfish.
instead of the plastic bottle to make it look like a bag.
Okay.
See how they get it confused. And then the other bit is, oh,
A good one.
I don't know. I think it's too much on one page.
yeah. Then the other thing.
Now,
we were
this
saying-
was Crow's page.
Yeah,
Exactly,
They,
yeah.
they wanted this information in here and
But
we
Well,
can eliminate, of course, it's our book, but
There's a whole section that's a duplicate. The bottom right corner that has the beach chairs and toys and stuff, that's
Mhm.
already on page 2
okay.
from previously.
So maybe eliminate the beach
So they
chair.
could do that
toys, and
whole
horse.
beach chair, that whole big circle.
Okay.
Yeah, that gives us
And
more
that-
space.
Yeah.
Spread it out what they have.
And then if they wanted to move that thing about if you find an animal affected, what Dave was saying, by these hazards, do not try to help yourself. Instead, contact an adult to call
Where are
Crow and
Right.
put that over where the beach chair is.
Take this out.
It's already up
Take
there
this
in the,
away.
in the left-hand corner. It's got their number.
Right.
So we probably don't need that circle, right?
So eliminate that circle.
Well, they're saying it's kind
No.
of like maybe
Redundant?
add this information up here in a different way, reword it. I think is what they're trying to say, because it's already kind of the same thing as redundant.
Mhm.
And that, but like, I think the top left with the pollution, unsupervised pets, rows, and that looks like a glob of a lot, especially the pollution bit. So maybe reworking that into that whole right section of the page.
Well, we need to be specific for her.
Can we do multiple pages?
For Crow
No, we're at our,
or Mac.
mhm.
I think the four, I personally think taking away that whole right side of the page and just leaving boat strikes, litter, fishing gear, and human food on this page. That's how I would rework it. Because the other bit there. Not
What
that it's
about
not
the
important.
artificial light? Because we don't have any of that information in the,
That's not on anything of the turtles or anything.
well, I mean, they discuss it, but
That's what I mean. That's
A 6-year-old or a 10-year-old
Mhm.
child is going to have no control over boat strikes
right.
on manatees. So,
I
that whole
disagree
area.
with that. They can say a lot to their parents.
well,
mhm.
okay. But
Well-
I think if you look at what they can do, they don't have to feed the birds. That's a very good thing. They can pick up fish line,
Mhm.
which, is something they can do. And they don't have to litter. And I think those are the three things. That's their attention span. Crow can be up there. And then you can make a color the plastic bag, orange so the turtle doesn't eat it. I don't know. Do a function for the child to do something, but I think those are the three things that a child can look at and do. Don't feed the birds, don't litter, and pick up fish line. And those are three big things on the beach. If you want, and we've already got something in there, don't dig holes. So I think that's all you really want to try and do. That's their attention span, takes a busy workout, so on and so forth. And leave a thing that says, if you see any of these things, a distressed bird, a distressed turtle, or a fish line, get a parent and call Crow. My 2 cents.
Hank, what are the kids coloring on this page?
Nothing. It's informational from Crow.
But it's our coloring book.
No, I understand that, but they're a huge, they're rehabilitation for our community, and they'll probably be printing a lot of these out and giving them away for educational purposes.
Then do we need that here in our coloring book?
Yes, because they have their rehabilitation facility in our community, and they have good information, I believe.
Are they helping pay for our coloring book?
No, they're not they're probably going to be printing them and handing them out at their facility and at their local schools, and even, probably helping us as well.
Well, if you take out that bottom circle, and artificial light is also mentioned back on page 2, at least for the turtle hatchlings, not for the deer.
Okay.
But then you could expand those other 3 items through the whole page and possibly fill in something.
Okay.
Right.
I
What-
will
I
suggest
just
it.
folded it over so we don't have the right-hand side. If we take the items that are left on the left and spread them out,
Okay.
and then for the boat strikes, we can have them put a prop guard around the
Mhm.
and suggest they talk to their parents about speed. We can have them draw a bag to put their litter in to carry out.
Mhm.
We can have them put their food back in their cooler. We can make all of those activities
Mhm.
if we only have a few items on that page.
I will make all these suggestions to Miss Macy Knoll.
I'll help you if you need it. Let me know.
Just a note. I have given away during my time here with MERF and the pop-ups. I have probably given out thousands and thousands and thousands of these activity books that have been supplied through different venues. And actually, you would be surprised at how many parents work with their kids with these activity books, whether it's on a plane, going back home. I've had, repeat visitors who say, wow, I didn't know about this. Never occurred to me to have the kids fill in holes. Never occurred to me not to, have the kids chasing birds. The parents do
Right.
look at these activity books.
And that goes back to what we've said about
Mhm.
people will be compliant. They just need to find out what it is we want them to comply with.
Mm-hmm.
And we can have them picking up the fishing gear and adding it to their trash container and not a trash can on the beach. Let them carry it out. They carried it in, carry it out.
I have something to ask about that page 7, that beach page. Number 3, it says circle the boy chasing after the tired
Yeah.
birds.
I saw that. Yeah.
It doesn't look
There-
like he's chasing any
No.
birds.
I've already talked to her about
Okay.
that. We're going to eliminate the kite
Turn him the other way and like
and
him walk
have
chase
birds.
them.
Mm-hmm.
She's got no
Oh, turn him the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, because right now it looks like he's just doing his thing and the birds don't seem bothered. But if he turn the other way and like we move these birds just over and have a couple taken off.
Mm-hmm. How's the artwork? Any
I like the manatees.
Looks grand.
Mhm.
The
The
I mean,
birds,
couldn't
are
remind-
they?
The artwork on that last page is a little iffy.
Well,
I
that's
know, I'm just
from the
kidding.
beach
I'm just kidding.
kids.
Just kidding.
I probably will ask for the dolphin to nose
Aw.
to
No,
look.
it's a good
Well,
drawing.
That's
I
true.
think
That's
it's
true,
nice.
and it's
The-
part of the
my
drawing.
My only thing with the artwork is if we keep parts of the pro page with the pollution, it looks like I said, it looks like little amoebas and stuff. Maybe make it look like exhaust or waves or
Well,
smoke or something.
I thought we had decided to eliminate.
If whatever
Okay.
she does, just in case,
Okay.
yeah. If she does decide to keep that.
Well, we're guiding her. So
Okay.
if we all agree that pollution portion of it, unsupervised pets, artificial light, roads, and beach chairs, toys, and holes be eliminated, expand the boat strike, fishing gear, human food, litter, and incorporate the little circle with the information to the top. I think it might not look so overwhelming.
Mhm.
Well, and the unsupervised pets goes back to the page we were just looking at, on the boy chasing the birds kind of thing. It also says on there about people and dogs. It could be people and unsupervised pets can harm the birds and chicks, and just
Mhm.
so it doesn't need to be on both pages
Right.
because the pollution thing is important. But then you've eliminated the artificial light, you've eliminated the unsupervised pets, and you've eliminated the beach chairs. So,
So leave the pollution.
and possibly do that thing what Mary Rose was saying about adding the bags to collect trash or removing trash.
Yeah, I'd like to see them carrying it out rather than looking for a trash can. It's just more work. Carry in, carry out. And you can pick up the monofilament and add that to your trash on the way too.
What about numbering of the pages? Do we need numbers on the pages? And you like the numbering on the right or the middle?
I'm a fan of the middle.
Yeah, make it consistent.
And then she has to alter
Yes.
them because page 6 is really page 7.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it's kinda hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well, I hope that's enough for you,
anything
Jennifer.
else? Yeah, I think it's enough. And We're getting close.
By the
Next
date.
month, we'll have the last 6 pages and then we'll go over it. And then hopefully we'll take it to town council and the town and they'll approve it and we'll get printing and be able to start educating. And I'm very excited. I think that, this is a great start to educating our kids and our visitors and community.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. That's, you put a lot of hard work into this with the organization. So to understand this correctly, that next meeting then we'll review
The
11
last
through
6.
15, 11 through 16, whatever it is. And at that point, it will go back for final modification.
Mhm.
You'll receive it back. And then the intent is to bring it to town council to share with them and get consensus that we can move forward.
And the town PIO will have to approve everything. And then I guess, the discussion on, I'll get pricing for printing and how it's going to be laid out and bring that to you in April as well.
Yeah, I think it's looking great, Jen. And the beauty part of it is it's ours.
Yeah, it's a town's.
Good work.
yeah.
Keep it up.
Thanks.
Okay, that was great.
And then I'll commit to sending it out to everyone, or a copy of the last 6 pages.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
great. So we don't
So-
have to spend half an hour trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't, apparently you're more successful
I
than I am
will.
with that, but I've
will.
requested twice, it comes up and, I'm
I'll do
very familiar with the process and I don't know if Macy doesn't recognize me or won't approve me or what, but I don't blame her.
You are suspicious.
I don't blame her. So, good. Well, let's move along then. I think we're moving at a better clip than normal. Sewer lines. Let's bring that up again. This topic is about the
Excuse me,
identified-
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Are we eliminating adopt a right away?
Oh, geez, I'm sorry. My arrow brought me to the wrong line there. Adopt it right away. That's correct. It's probably. So where do you all stand on MERTF's involvement on what we can do to help that idea of adopting right of ways? Basically, it's again, maybe as a quick review, this is the right of way that is contained in front of your property. So if you're a Estero Island, Estero Boulevard property owner, it would be that space between that little strip between the sidewalk and the street. On the north, it's a little bit wider, and I think that's what prompted the idea was that people were doing, different things with that area. And again, Councilman Adderholt had thought that that would be something that would be neat for the entire town. And also, I think there's a clear benefit that the town wouldn't have to maintain those areas because you would be adopting them and caring for them and maintaining them yourself. So it would be an easier, from my perspective, it would be helpful for the Public Works group not to have to mow those or weed whip them or whatever the intention is. But again, if we have a string of homeowners and 5 aren't interested and 1 is, how is that managed? And do you have any plans?
I have a question
Was there a
for
better group?
Counselor King. If we
Relax, Dave, it's my first meeting.
if we propose adopt a right of way for homeowners, which is the area between the Estero and their property, we're not saying that they can put anything they want in there. We're just saying you're responsible to take care of it. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, previously there were some guidelines we thought we would need to discuss because you can't put 6-foot hedges there, let's say, because
That's
a
against the
traffic
ordinance.
issue, right?
But I mean, if somebody said, I want to put white seashells
Right.
in place of grass, because white seashells under a mat take 0 maintenance,
Mhm.
so on and so forth. Or I wish to put, a creeping flax ground cover or something like
Mhm.
that. Is there an issue with the town if someone gets into individuality of their property in adopting a right of way, or is this just going to be you're in charge of your right of way? Because
Right.
there it's a kind of carrot stick thing. Okay, I'll take it over, but I'd like to do what I'd want to do with my property
Mhm.
versus, okay, you're asking me to take it over. That's what I pay taxes for. The town's supposed to take care of it.
Right. Well, I think it'd be voluntary first.
Well, no,
first and
I
foremost.
understand
Right,
that,
but we need to articulate that.
but
yeah.
that's the carrot that I'm saying I think if we're going to do something like that, that gives everyone a little incentive to say, you can do some individuality on your property, but then you're responsible to take care of the individuality. And if we do allow, if the council does allow this to go on, how far does that individuality go?
Mhm.
So that's the issue that I see on the whole thing. Or you can just say, no, you can volunteer to be responsible for it. And a lot of people do sometimes anyway.
Right,
They
sure.
just have a lawn service and they take care of it regardless.
Mhm.
So that's my question to Councilor King. Are there limits on what we can do on that piece of property that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of any, but I'm sure there are. You can always count on the town to have something involved.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
I'm wondering if instead of individuals, we should say it's that entire block. So there would be some consistency rather than, as Dave said, you might have one that wants seashells and another that wants small plantings. Let them all agree. I don't know,
Not all neighbors are friendly with each other
but
either.
this
so
might be
knock
the
out a-
beginning of
Yeah,
a
there you
neighborhood
go.
group.
Bring people together. Stop the easement.
I think it's going to be a tough one.
Mhm.
I agree.
Not enforcement, just even to propose adopting and then who,
I mean, that framework would come to us to put together. That's the point. I mean, are we going to say that, I mean, there'd have to be some more investigation. What are our landscaping rules for right-of-ways? And like, Councilman said, there's got to be some documentation there of what you can and can't do. You'd have to investigate that first and then determine what, make that the framework of if you'd like to adopt it, then officially send in your form and you can adopt it, but here are the rules.
Should we get some input from the public
That's
to
never a
see
bad
if
thing.
there's anyone that's
That's
even
why we're here.
interested? Because if we don't get a lot of input or, requests to adopt an area, then it falls, I believe, right back on to who's responsible for it now.
Well, the town.
The
The
town,
town is.
Yeah.
right.
So we find out who is interested. If, name all the right of way areas, put it out in the public and all
Put a
the,
map, actually.
right? Do
probably,
a
yeah.
map and say, is anyone interested? You have a deadline to get back with us on, who's interested. And if we have a lot of people interested, then we know which direction to go. If we don't, then we need to go ahead and just have the town take over or continue to,
So how do you propose that we get the public input?
well, don't we have a PIO now? We send alerts.
Just
We
adding
send
to
out
Another
to
survey
whoever
another
wants
survey monkey
to.
Survey, yeah. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I think we
that's good
need to
input.
do that. We need to find out how much interest there is before we ask people to do it.
Right.
Need,
There's,
Is there a reason MRF is getting involved with this? Is this for an environmental issue, an aesthetic issue,
well, it was.
cost saving issues for the town? What's the issue?
So the way I think this came about was, again, Councilman Adderholt, at one of the meetings that the MERTF had presented at a recommendation. In one of those early on was the concept of regreening the island. And so that was the first thing the advisory board discussed is how can we help? But then we've got the Estero Island Garden Club and we've got, there's other organizations that were already involved and had already come up and offered their services to help with right-of-ways and things like that. So we sort of punted there and said, that's great. They can be sort of in charge of regreening, but as part of the, I think the discussion, Councilman Airholt saw a property. It was on the north end of the island, or I should say the upwards end of the island, above Town Square. Sorry, Times Square. One of those properties there. Has anybody seen the property that he?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that was his inspiration, I think. He thought that would be a great idea. And if we should look at a program, is there a way that we can spread this program or this idea, concept? He was a fan of it. So then we did discuss it in the meeting, and we talked about the things we did today about about bushes and who's gonna maintain it. We also identified that certain right-of-ways are probably more productive than others. There's the very, very thin strip along the central part of the island. And then obviously, as you head south or down the island, the easements will get much larger because there's 100-foot right-of-way there versus only 50 feet, let's say, on the north end. So those, and I think you yourself, Member Nussbaum, had said that it'd be potentially attractive to a condominium to say, hey, we can actually make this our own. It could be a continuation of your own foliage. It could be whatever you want it to do. So there was some attraction from that perspective of being able to do something with that area and customize a little bit for your own property. So,
Providing you can do the customization.
right.
Which
Yeah,
prompted my question to Councilor King.
right.
What limitations do we have
Right.
within the town?
Can you load it up with voodoo icons? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
I mean, chicken.
And get, the little chrome balls on the pedestal, and put 'em all
Right,
across.
right. What, yeah. What's funky and what's junky,
That's
right?
an old Wisconsin joke.
Yeah. So what's the temperature of our advisory board on this? Do we want to dig in a little bit more? I mean, it was a request.
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I personally think uniformity is looks nice anywhere you go, and I think if we got maybe had someone come and give us a consulting on the different areas of what would look good, maybe plumbago or like Calusa or some bush that is green year round, low maintenance, and the smaller areas, better landscaping, I think, than the town maintains it. To me, that's personally what I think would be the best. So we have uniformity all throughout the island, all the way down Estero Boulevard, and we can eliminate a lot of different looks. That's just my thought.
And again, I will say, I think the whole incentive behind it is to add to the individuality of a property. That's what makes it attractive, where you have a landscaping theme on your property. We have 300 feet along Estero Boulevard, and we would look at carrying our landscaping theme all the way out to Estero, which would make it something of particular interest to our property, but it would not necessarily be a uniform piece along the road. So that's why I asked again, what latitude property owners have, and because I think that's the incentive. If you can be a little individual and you can make your property something, that's a little different than the norm, makes it stand out. But again, if the town has specific ordinances that say, here's what you can do, then it becomes a moot point. And this is,
Right.
I don't think you're gonna generate a lot of interest just by saying everybody gets to be a cookie cutter
Right.
all the way down the island. My
Right.
personal
I mean,
opinion.
uniformity could end up being turf grass all the way up and down the island. And I don't think that's really a good solution for a barrier island. So, I mean, you got to be careful what you wish for. If it is uniformity, it could be that.
I don't think it belongs within the MERF umbrella. So I don't think we ought to play with it. There's other, you mentioned the garden group.
Sure, that's fair. Yeah.
They can take a swing at this and work with the town. I don't see where we want to waste, spend our time on this.
I pretty much agree with that, though I don't agree with necessarily the garden club, but I do agree with that. I also thought that native plants really need to be reinforced because I know the plot of land that has been referenced now several times at MRF meetings on the north end of the island. And that was primarily not native plants they put in. And I have seen the owner out there with a hose watering on numerous occasions. And in terms of trying to conserve water, as well as fertilizer, pesticides, and everything else, I still would like to promote native plants.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that's like about all we as Merck would want to say about it is whatever they decide, whoever decides it, try to push towards native plants to, whether
Right,
it's
and it-
pollinators or for nesting birds or whatever it may be.
I agree with
That's the
that.
only bit I could think of.
And you have too many cooks in the kitchen. If one area, one block doesn't get taken care of and another block is being taken care of, it's just, I think choosing some native plants that work well in each area and have the town maintain it. That's my,
So, I mean, maybe another point that should be brought up is that when they redid the Estero Boulevard, the town took over the planting and the maintenance of the right of ways along Estero Boulevard for approximately $800,000 is what they, the allotment they gave them to vegetate and I suppose maintain, in perpetuity that area. So who, to the point of who's involved with this, I mean, who would be, somebody's deciding, in the end, this right away has to be managed, whether it's adopted, which again, I had mentioned there's benefits there for the maintenance and actually, I don't know if the homeowner would actually pony up the money to plant what they, maybe there's something in there that says it has to be native, whatever it is. There's a cost savings to the town for that. I mean, if we do get audience participation here, property owner participation, but
I believe the north end of the island was maintained in the town.